Designers are supposed to make characters we watch interesting to look at. Purpose of a character designer is to tell visual story through characters' visual look. Their design is communicated well enough so we can immediately tell from which movie, cartoon, or a book they originate from. It's like when you enter the library full of books, and on each shelf a different character is presented on the book. Design is supposed to differentiate characters that are not similar, and those who are similar to each other on basic levels. If you see a stormtrooper in his cleanly designed white armor holding a blaster gun, you know it belongs to a futuristic genre and series known as Star Wars, made by George Lucas. Because of their design, you would not say they belong to another futuristic series, for example like StarCraft, who uses character design in a different artistic language. If you see medieval-looking soldiers with regular swords wearing armor with horse symbols, you know they belong to a medieval setting, and you might even recognize them for belonging to Lord of the Rings trilogy by Peter Jackson. And if you see a chainsaw on someone's head and arms, while also being dressed in a simple black and white suits, then you will remember that they belong to Chainsaw Man series by Tatsuki Fujimoto. Or if you see a character in absolutely bizarre coloring and fashion, but you will definitely know that they belong to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure by artist and director Araki. In order for yourself to master the character designer skill, we must first go over these most key and basic principles and rules that I personally think you should know before doing character design. These 4 pillars are artistic language, color language, shape language, and most important one, the world language. Now without further ado, go buy my card game The Game Crafter and let's start the video. Starting from the essential and most important pillar, the world language. Is design of your character supposed to be shaped around the settings and themes of your world you created? This means you originally created the world and its themes and cultures first, and then with your new characters you only expand it, build upon it, and develop it. Characters that are built to expand the world they inhabit and have to follow the rules. Example of some of these characters are Boromir from Peter Jackson's movies, who gave us the insight into the current political power resonating in Gondor. Aragorn, who is in line for the currently believed dead line of Númenor, who is supposed to bring back the lost glory of Gondor. Or Elrond, who is there to explain to us in how dire situation we are currently placed and how everything is going downhill. These 3 characters are all designed so their look reflects the roles in their stories they are supposed to tell. Boromir in his bulky silver Gondor armor, Elrond in his long dress showing elegance to the elves, or Aragorn, who until he became king of Gondor and starts wearing the royal Gondor drip, wears simple ranger's clothes. These characters are designed around the rules and world they follow and cannot do otherwise. Or we can go a completely different route. Maybe you're creating characters that are so important that everything else, world, themes, other characters, serve only to expand and develop the main character you will design. Some examples from this type of characters are Kratos from God of War, where every key player in the world is designed only to hype up that character. Zeus is his father, who is the king of Olympus. Every character is forced to provoke Kratos in any way they can so Kratos can kill them and look really cool, even though the confrontation could have been easily avoided. Perseus.
At least I can bathe in the glory of being the one who brought down the mighty Kratos.
He's the marked warrior that will take down Olympus. Do I have to keep going? Example 2. Dante from Devil May Cry. His father separated the human and demon world. He possesses the amulet that is half of the key of uniting those 2 worlds back. Bro is the strongest character in his world. Every fight exists to make him look cool. In fact, Dante was so cool, and they were running out of ideas, so in DMC3, they just copy-pasted Dante, colored him blue, and made a different character, so he can just match Dante in power. These type of characters doesn't follow the rules of the world. It doesn't matter how they look or what they do. The world is supposed to build things around them, instead of them building their look around the world. Pillar number 2. Artistic language. After choosing your world language, the next pillar to consider is the artistic language. This pillar defines what emotions or impressions your character design should evoke in the viewer. What kind of atmosphere or vibe should your character give off at first glance? To illustrate this, let's quote David Jaffe, the director of God of War 1, who led his team by defining the direction of his creative vision. Take Kratos for example. The idea behind this character was to create someone raw, animalistic and furious. As the director David Jaffe describes, brutal, nasty and angry.
Violent, antisocial, pissed off, angry, fuck you.
The team went through numerous concept phases: dark warriors, grotesque abominations, mercenaries, even designs with mystical, genie-like feel. But none of them truly captured the essence of fuck you vibe. So why does Kratos' final design work so perfectly? First, he's nearly naked, wearing only a red skirt and something that resembles sandals. This immediately strips him of any civilized or armored appearance, giving him a primal tribal feel. The bold red tattoo across his body further emphasizes this rawness and connects to the savage aesthetics the director wanted. His face, bald head, and a short trim on his chin gives him a look of reminiscence of an inmate in a prison, adding to the animalistic and raw impression. And then there are the Blades of Chaos. They do possess the demonic supernatural appearance, but if you strip away the anime shader look, as I like to call it, they're essentially just two massive daggers. The way he uses them, up close, in your face, throat-slitting style, echoes the primal violence of tribal warfare and raw personal combat. I forgot to add that he also have chains on his arms that are tied to the blades, also adding to the prisoner vibe. Man stripped to his bare flesh, chained as a dog, reflecting that he is the prisoner of some sort in his own story. Another great example of well-done artistic language is Dante from Devil May Cry 3, and his perfectly matched personality and appearance. Dante's look captures his laid-back and cocky nature effortlessly. His boots aren't even zipped up, a small but powerful detail that reflects his laziness and indifference to rules or conventions. His hair just falls freely, messy and wet, like he didn't even bother to dry it after stepping out of the shower. And of course, there's his shirtless design, not just fan service, but a deliberate reflection of his show-off personality. Dante is the kind of character who knows he's cool, and doesn't hide it. His fashion, or lack of it, is an extension of his I don't really care attitude, perfectly aligning his outward appearance with his inner character. Example number 3. Orochi from Warriors Orochi. Orochi is a demon lord inspired by the mythological creature Hydra, and his design is a masterclass in combining visual elements with character's identity. He wears a half suit, half armor that appears fused with his own flesh, blurring the line between creature and a warrior. This not only emphasizes his inhuman origin, but also reflects his role as both a conqueror and a supernatural being. The crown he wears signals his authority. Half of his design is like a suit that also represents character's refined and elevated vocabulary, choosing words that are rarely used in casual conversation, reinforcing his image as an authority figure. His body design includes 8 Hydra heads and 8 tails embodied across different parts of his skin, a direct nod to the mythological source from which his design takes inspiration. Physically, he bears many human traits: pointed ears, no eyebrows, bluish skin, and mismatched eye colors. These features strip away any lingering humanity and establish him as something truly otherworldly. His overall appearance is meant to be both menacing and commanding, a visual warning that chaos and destruction follow wherever he goes. This theme is perfectly supported by the weapon he wields, a massive Grim Reaper-style scythe, reinforcing the idea that death itself has arrived. In summary, artistic language is the ability to convey your character's essence to the viewer at first glance. Pillar number 3. The shape language. Once you finally decide which word language you're using, as well as what you want to express through your artistic language, it's time to shift away from the more philosophical part and move into what I like to call the hard drawing phase. Now, this phase can be used and interpreted in various different ways, as it heavily depends on the art style you're working with. What I mean by this is, for example, in the art style of Phineas and Ferb. Since every character is heavily stylized, each one is built from distinct, clearly illustrated shapes. Phineas with a triangle, a Dorito. Ferb with multiple rectangles, resembling a palm tree, and Candice with curves and circles. Another great example of characters with a striking visual style, built from a variety of shapes, is, dare I say, One Piece.
The One Piece! The One Piece is real!
I've never actually watched One Piece, and I have no idea what it's even about. But because of its incredibly well-crafted character designs in terms of visual shapes, this manga or anime showcases one of the strongest uses of shape language you will find in any medium. If you put any One Piece character in a group shot with several others, you'll never confuse them with someone else, thanks to how distinct their body structure and accessories are. Now, just take one image where multiple One Piece characters are placed together. Tell me, does anyone look the same or even similar? Just through shape language alone, you're already communicating to the viewer. For example, is this sword heavy or light? Is this character strong or nimble? This message is conveyed not only through their body shapes, but also through what they are wearing. If you see a chef's hat, your brain instantly thinks of a cook. You see a microphone, a singer. A guitar, a musician. Glasses might suggest intelligence or a nerd. Muscles imply strength or someone who goes to the gym. A crown symbolizes a king. All those shapes are meaningless on their own, but they remind us of things we've seen and recognize in our daily lives, whether through media or in real life. Of course, all of this depends on current trends and what is in front of you at the moment. You also have to be aware that not everyone interprets the meaning of shape exactly the way you expected or intended, because, let's be real, not everyone is the same or thinks the same way. Characters are always built from a variety of different shapes, some very large and others noticeably small, but together they give your character personality through the combination of those shapes. This also applies to more realistic style of media. Just remember, the more you move towards realism, the harder it is to successfully pull off details and shapes in a design compared to stylized characters, but it's still very manageable. A problem, or better said, a limitation of more realistic styles or realism is that your designs usually need to be more practical than creative. A good example is how Gondor soldiers are designed simply so they can move practically during the movie, while soldiers like Gondor Citadel Guardians are there just for atmosphere and aura farming, standing still instead of actually doing anything. This is also why the Jedi in Revenge of the Sith wear simple clothes with very few details. Obi-Wan and Anakin drop their capes so they can move freely and fight more easily during the movie, allowing them to go full Anga Bunga or even WWE on each other during some scenes. It's also why superhero movies often feature very simplistic designs, often just basic spandex suits. For 2D animation, you need to consider how difficult it will be for your animators to animate every frame of movement. Because of this, you have to keep the character designs simpler and more limited. On the other hand, 3D character designers need to know how long it will take to first create the entire character in 3D software and then actually use it in production. But oh boy, when 3D characters cook, it's like Mamma mia! Now, let me give you a few visual examples with some of my personal characters, so you can better understand what I've been trying to explain here about shape language. Let me introduce you to 3 characters from my trading card game that you can buy on the GameCrafter currently available. And let me show you how I used shape language to my advantage. King Tuba III, ruler, Kingdom of Music. Number 1. The glowing trumpets on his back, which shout or create long lines of musical notes, give this character a magical, mystical vibe. This is complemented by his hat, or rather a crown, which is part of the trumpet stylized in the shape of a wizard's hat. Another strong visual design choice is the microphone in his hand, which further connects him to the wizard archetype of characters. Number 2. His design combines heavy armor with leather clothing, boots and gloves, indicating that he is both a warrior and a user of strong power, to convey a sense of authority and high status. He possesses fur elements, suggesting royalty. For a unique touch, I gave him 4 capes that extend from his shoulders, creating a moth-like appearance when combined with his crown and silhouette. Number 3. Various symbols are incorporated into his design to clearly indicate his affiliation with a specific faction or a kingdom. The prominent musical note on his chest and his crown signify his power and rank within the authority. Additionally, the design lines are strategically placed so that his notes appear to extend onto his capes, which are stylized to resemble pages. This visual choice reflects the concept of a performer reading a musical notes during a performance. Example number 2. Den Тазен, ruler, kingdom and chaos. Number 1. His design is filled with spikes and claws, aiming to give him a distinctly demonic appearance. Although he wears a helmet, it's specifically designed as a mask featuring a wide black smile and 2 sharp red eyes, giving him a grim look. This is complemented by his helmet, which, while not a crown in the traditional sense, demands respect due to his upward pointing horns, evoking the image of a devil. Number 2. He wears a large red armor that, although it appears simplistic at first glance, is intentionally designed with curves around the stomach and large squares on his shoulders. This design choice ensures that his upper and lower body do not visually merge, a striking and powerful detail in the presence of 2 black gaping holes near his armpits. These may seem awkward at first, until his opponent realizes why he is called Emperor with 10,000 fire hands. Number 3. Last but not least, he possesses a very long and large cape. When he is not engaged in combat, his tall stature allows him to wrap it around himself, concealing half of this design from his enemies and exuding a commanding, elegant presence reminiscent of General Grievous in the Clone Wars series. Complementing the cape is a large red flag on his back, which serves both symbolic and practical purposes. It indicates to the viewer that he is a conqueror and a solo warrior, as he is also a banner carrier and a sword wielder. Example number 3. Mechanical Angel, ruler, collective kingdom. Small note. This ruler is supposed to be available for the purchase if we reach funding of $150. Support us by purchasing the other 2 starter decks on the Game Crafter with Den Тазен and King Tuba. What the fuck? Huh? Support us by purchasing the other 2 starter decks on the Game Crafter with Den Тазен and King Tuba, so the new starter deck will be available. And we can continue expanding the Rodent series we are creating. Thanks for listening. Number 1. Although very mechanical, this character, or better say ruler, is purposely designed with proportions of a humanly starved individual, with his stomach area, arms and legs purposely suppressed. It gives this being a very cold and depressed vibe, as it also has its, as it looks, fingers in a similarly designed manner. They doesn't just look like all flesh left the bones of your fingers, but like they have transformed themselves into long needles that look like they will be tearing into someone's flesh. The design is very cold, not just because it's a robot or because how mechanical he is, but because of how human it looks. Number 2. Now as we focus on other part of his design, like his head and a long pointy but at the same time destroyed and sharp looking cape, this character also gives off that predator or praying mantis vibe because of his tusks that are attached to his mask in addition to his already hand claws. His head is also designed similarly to Den Тазен, as it's also trying to represent a demon. But not the same vibe, as Den Тазен is a loud and scary type of demon. This one is more silent. It's like a nightmare that crawls into your dream at night, without you even noticing it before it's too late. But when you do not want to wake up. Number 3. The last part of his design, although not directly a design but an illustration and vibe choice design, is a depiction of a lifeless corpse that is being observed, experimented on and attached to multiple wires, like a patient who is dying. It is a twisted image of death, used to convey life. The birth of something that should never have been alive in the first place. Once that green visor activates and glows green, it's a simple yet strong indicator that it sees, but you do not know what. In conclusion, shape language is the ability to describe and translate your ideas into your artistic style by focusing solely on the shapes of your character, rather than their colors. This approach allows you to communicate your character's personality, role, and emotions through visual shapes. Pillar number 4. Color language. A big misconception is that human eyes just look simply at characters' whole silhouette when analyzing something, and this is really wrong. We as humans usually subconsciously and without thinking divide aspects of characters' design in recognizable small chunks of shapes inside and outside of the overall visual silhouette. But we often forget that besides just literal shapes, color is another factor that creates separation between characters' parts inside its inner silhouette without directly changing or affecting how one's actual shapes are shaped. Easy examples are a few characters currently on the screen, and this is actually how your brain separates the color of these characters and how they are creating individual shapes inside their own silhouette that doesn't affect their overall outside visual shape silhouette, but still creates shapes that gives us indications how the character is structured in the first place. Human eye also very likes to look at something that is bright and eye-catchy, but this also doesn't mean the design is good. Usually if the design is bright and just eye-catching for the sake of being a treat for the eyes, it turns into eye candy that, although sweet, it doesn't have any actual purpose and lacks any depth as well as meaning under the skin it possesses. Color pillar, like other 3 pillars in this video, needs to have a purpose and a reason why they exist. This is why one must not immediately discard the low saturated color character and say the iteration with the stronger and brighter colors is better just because they are catching your attention more.
Why is he pink? Why is he... What? Why is Jorno pink? Why is he pink? Oh, why not blue? He's always been blue in the other fucking series. Why is he pink? How is he supposed to be a gangster when he's wearing pink? You get bullied for that!
Another strong and powerful ability the color pillar possesses is an easy and strong indication to the viewer where should their eyes be focusing or looking at. If you intelligently place more saturated and darker colors on places you wish to be seen less, since they are less important parts of the character in your vision, then use stronger and brighter colors on parts of the design you wish to be seen more, and deem more important for your creative vision and purpose. This would make the brighter colors stand out even more, and make your character even more unique and more eye-catching, since you are conveying specifically chosen meanings to your viewer without them immediately understanding it. Now, how hard the meaning and purpose of the colors you chose will vary a lot between the directors. Some will use colors in designs simply like Power Rangers, where each member uses different color on their outfit or Megazord to indicate difference in team members and characters. Another simple example is Orochi's clones in Warriors Orochi 3, where after the warriors defeat the Hydra, Orochi X summons 8 clones that have appearance of Orochi, and all 8 of them possess individually different power of the Serpent King, which is why everyone is colored totally different to when you fight them. The color will be an indication which clone of Orochi is which on the battlefield, and who controls each power. Another easy example are main 5 ninjas from Lego Ninjago. Kai is the red one because he's the master of fire. Jay is the master of lightning and he's dressed in blue. Zane is a machine ninja that uses ice and because of that he's dressed in white. Chloe is dressed in black, symbolizing his element, which is earth. Lloyd's element is energy, which is green, and simple solution like for ninjas previously is to give him the green color. With this approach, just with the colors they are wearing, you will already know which element belongs to which ninja in the team. Now if they were all black, you would already understand why this would cause obvious confusion even though they would hold different weapons. Besides just differentiating similar characters by base color, we could also use another very powerful trick that color language uses. Generally in our society, colors got distinct meanings and associations when someone speaks about them. Easy example is if you ask someone to describe color red. Almost everybody will say something along the lines of passion, anger, blood, or violence. And if you know the general language of the society towards colors, you can just with colors already describe your designed characters or explain their personality without even saying a single word. Fun fact that I think everyone milked on YouTube Shorts these days is that Kratos' original tattoo was designed blue. First, this is incorrect. His original tattoo was colored purple, and later on in development changed into blue. and for some time they refused to give him the red, since they wrote that it was too cliché for their main character to wear. In the end, because of Kratos' character, it ultimately led to his color being red. I mean, man associated with blood and gore, ripping eyeballs out of Cyclops and spilling guts out of centaurs, showering in red orbs of his enemies, wouldn't really work with the very calm and reasonable blue, really. Come to think of it, it would have been better for newer iteration of Kratos to embrace the color blue, since it would help him visually show us he has developed and changed as a character. Other simple but good examples that use colors to inform us about the characters we follow are Dante, Arkham, and Virgil from Devil May Cry 3, where Dante as the main character have a bright red jacket symbolizing his energetic and emotional personality, while the antagonist, Dante's brother Virgil, possesses a bright blue jacket, indicating his colder and more efficient approach to situations or interactions. Virgil and Dante's colors are great because the darker and more saturated colors of the world clash with Dante's and Virgil's bright colors, like white, red, and blue. So every time they face each other, viewers' eyes would always be directed towards these two, and action it accompanies them. A very big contrast to these two, and a character who doesn't get enough love and attention to himself, is Arkham. Man who with his colors and his design reflects both of the Sparta brothers' personalities, since his two main colors are purple when he's Jester, which is the color red and blue create when they mix, showing us that he shares personality aspects of both characters, but with his black design. He tells us that he's capable of pushing these character traits to an even darker and sinister levels Sparta brothers could have developed if they didn't change throughout the journey and improve as characters. Arkham as a jester acts goofy and silly like Dante, but twists Dante's personality into an unhinged idiot and a lunatic, coming off more like an overconfident buffoon than a cocky and confident Dante. Or he can act even colder, more selfish and calculating than even Virgil, as Arkham killed his wife, manipulated his daughter so he could use her as a sacrifice for his own power obsession, and even in his last moments is trying to justify his power obsession by also trying to manipulate his daughter again, after everything he did to her. Virgil also walked this path, and as shown to us in Devil May Cry 5, if Nero didn't beat finally some sense into Virgil, in the end he would end up just like Arkham. Both used their offsprings so they could benefit themselves, both fought for themselves and for no one else, and if Virgil didn't finally realize his flaws, he would have ended just like Arkham, dressed in black, finding his family, and getting killed by them, and being left alone in the end. Arkham colors, which are total opposites or combinations of Dante's and Virgil's, tells us so much about the character that only when you finish the story of the Sparta brothers you can appreciate for what he is truly accomplishing and representing with his character, told simply through his color, since if you look at his shapes, he is just a bold man, dressed in black, hungry for power, acting like a fool.
Try me. It's time for the clown to bow out, Arkham.
Dude, the show's over.
In conclusion, color language is the ability to create visual shapes inside the character's silhouette and guide viewers' eyes to where they should be looking at. Brighter doesn't equal better, and variety in color tone is great for conveying characters' mood, traits, or even flaws. Always consider how will the design speak when multiple different characters join your character on the screen, and how will their color language speak between themselves and the viewer. If you managed to get to this part of the video, congratulations! You will be learning about an unbuilt but always present pillar number 5, which is not a pillar in traditional sense like the other 4, but I believe it is really useful when people speak about character designs. Let's finish this. People usually like speaking or using popular characters in our society as the basis of a good design, which is misleading and wrong. Famous characters possess strength through its popularity and current trends, which means even a bad character design could get famous and accumulate a larger following than a good character design that a lot less people are aware of. How much character is popular depends on many outside factors that doesn't even have to do with the design itself. Some characters are just popular because they were one of the first in the industry. Some because they have been seen multiple times through marketing and media. Making sure you have seen their characters, you wanting that or not, because of large amount of quantity of stuff and images related to these characters that exists. You will remember them at least because of how much you have been surrounded by them. Maybe this character is a very well written character, and his story resonated with a big amount of people. Maybe he was a very good boss fight in a video game and he left a lasting impression on its player through its combat mechanics or gameplay. It can be anything from pizza to burgers, from Japan to Serbia. Popularity doesn't mean the design is good, it just means you saw them enough times that your brain just immediately recognizes the same thing it saw for like gazillion times, and these characters start getting the "oh, it's that character" treatment, since they are constantly being promoted by word of mouth or media. This is the reason why certain color schemes and character silhouettes get popular, even though they are just one part of the character's overall image. Also, try not to fall into traps of thinking too highly of your design or too lowly. The more time you spend with the character you're designing and creating, the more you will be attached to the same character, since you're not just drawing, brainstorming ideas and illustrating them. You're literally putting parts of yourself, through your own thoughts subconsciously, into the character you're making.
Yeah, baby!
If someone doesn't share your immediate enthusiasm and interest in the character you made, that doesn't mean the design is bad. It just means they are not as invested as you into the character, since they were not originally with you during its creation. They also might prefer different types of characters, like for example, one person would like crab-based characters while the other would prefer ninja-type characters. Third would prefer wizards and a fourth knights. And if you create a cowboy-type character, and if you show it to anybody else from these four groups listed here, they won't be interested as you into the character. What I'm trying to say is, have confidence in your design, its creation and your vision. Because if you do not believe in your design yourself, how would anyone else believe later? Do not let your personal doubts or fame of other popular characters cloud your vision, and focus on what you want to do with the character you are creating. Don't give your character something other characters have just because you're trying to imitate them. Another important note to remember when presenting your character: not everyone will look at it with the same critical eye as mentioned before in the video. Not everyone is the same or thinks the same, so they will interpret something they see with their own outlook on the world and limited knowledge of your character. Do not get offended if someone doesn't like your design or makes fun of it, feeding your doubts and fears, making you doubt your skills and feel overall weak or worthless. This also works in reverse if people are glazing your design or making it appear better than it actually is. They could be feeding your ego and pride, making you think and feel you're stronger and better than what in reality you are, through their personal biases towards your work. This doesn't mean you should not listen to criticism, but take this rather as a warning to always stay humble and collected. Clear your mind and relax, so you could feel meanings behind comments and words of others. Just like you, they have their own personal biases that you have to be aware of. It is your idea, your creation, your vision, your masterpiece, after all. You know the meanings and story your character told while you were working on it, and what further will he communicate after you finish creating it. Interesting example from my personal life is with the ruler I created for the yellow faction. Of course I cannot show it since we still have to fund the green deck, and if we reach $150 by a few purchases of Dent Тазен or King Tuba III, we can move on and get more rulers and expand the lore of the game. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah. When I was showing my first 6 rulers to this one guy, he really disliked and strongly advised me to change the yellow ruler's design and appearance, since for him the ruler didn't feel grandiose or powerful like other 5 rulers. Now imagine me going back home and pulling my hair and going insane thinking, okay, what is the problem? Why he didn't like the design? What I did wrong? What should I change in the design? Can I even release this ruler as a leader of its own faction? Fast forward to the next day when I was showing these exact 6 rulers to a completely different person. And guess what? He said, let me quote this: "The best and coolest one was the yellow ruler. Ruler that the previous guy said it was the worst and that needs definite changes." So if Christ didn't slap me with a baseball bat on my brain and said, listen, you do you, I would be still pulling my hair and thinking, what is wrong with me, instead of realizing I just haven't found the right people to show my work to. This doesn't mean you just look for people who will always say to you what you want to hear from them. I was happy with my yellow ruler. I had a vision. I had an idea. But got uncertain if my vision was good because of my doubts. Thank you so much for watching our video. We put a lot of effort and care into making this, and Hidro probably committed a few war crimes to finish its production, since without him, this video would not be possible. Nadam se da ćemo se vidjeti u sljedećem videu i do tada veliki pozdrav. Until then, I want to see more cool and unique designs that people will come up with. See you in the next video.